They say performance has an expiration date, but what if they're wrong? No matter where you start, the goal's the same: to be better, stronger, wiser, bolder. We're here for the relentless, those that don't back down, don't compromise, and don't quit. This is training for Masters athletes by Masters athletes, with a community that holds you steady. So say goodbye to random workouts, because whether you're stepping into following a program for the first time or stepping onto the podium, your journey starts here.
All right, team, welcome to the Boulder Athlete Podcast. I am Josh, and I'm joined today by Dana Bird. Dana, you are an OG Boulder athlete, and you're the first lady we've had on the Boulder Athlete Podcast in too long. So I've been feeling the weight of that, and I'm so grateful that you have decided to join. And we just get to catch up today, and I'm excited to get to know each other a little
Let's
bit.
go.
So, Dana, I want to start with just your background and like how you got into fitness. As I said, we don't know each other, but when I first joined Boulder, like somehow became aware of Dana Bird, and like she's one of our kind of badass ladies in the community. When did you join Boulder? How did you get into fitness and CrossFit? Walk me through that story a little bit.
Fitness in general, sports in general. I was 7 years old and I was really interested in either, this is going to sound totally random because it's two totally opposite ends of the spectrum. I was interested in swimming and dance. I still love to dance, but I never went into that. I chose swimming for some reason. So at 7 years old, I became a competitive swimmer, and I swam year round all the way through into my freshman year in college. And also I ran track and cross country as well. But I never stopped swimming year round. Like even when during track and cross country, there was always swimming too.
Do you swim anymore these days?
I did for a while. I haven't been back in the pool in a while. I honestly feel like I kind of burnt myself out on it so much that, I mean, when you spend hours a day face down in the pool exercising like that, and it tends to get to you over the course of, 12, 13 years.
Yeah, yikes, I believe that. Do you feel like, if there was a competition you were going to participate in and it had swimming, is that like something you'd be excited about given your background, or is it dreadful, or what's your response?
I was pretty excited, hoping that it was going to be in their last year at Masters Fitness Championship. So I was
Mm.
pretty bummed out when they took it out. I had been swimming in preparation. This year I haven't. I don't have a clue if they're going to have swimming in it or not. I've definitely not been in the water, so that does concern me a little bit because swimming is different from running shape, is different from CrossFit shape, honestly. Like just
Yeah.
because I have the lungs for a CrossFit workout doesn't exactly mean I'm ready for the water. However, if it's in a pool, I have the advantage of flip turns, which is a great thing.
Very true. Yeah, you make up a lot of
Yeah,
time right there. Is it,
absolutely.
you said it was originally programmed in MSC a year ago. Is
A
that,
couple years ago. They took it out last year after the games happened.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Is that normal for them to have a swim in MFC? I've never done
They
MFC.
did. They did, I think they did a couple years in a row. I remember
Cool.
watching it on their YouTube or whatever they had, um, online. I saw them do an event. Yeah, because it
Did
was
you
something
share?
with, like, they were in a pool and they were swimming back and forth, like, and then getting out and doing, like, push jerks or something with dumbbells. It was kind of a mixed swim event. And then another year, I think it was just straight up like a 500 meter that they had to swim.
There is going to be a swim at Legends this year, and I will be doing Legends for the first time. And
Okay.
so that's on my radar. Like, I got to find a way to get myself in the pool. Thankfully, I had done, I had taken a few years of like swim conditioning in college and had
Yeah.
become a pretty solid swimmer, honestly. I'm not doing flip turns, but I can, I can breathe and I can be proficient enough in the water to survive and move at a good pace. But mixing that with CrossFit movements,
Mhm.
challenging your capacity and then jumping in the water when you're already deprived of oxygen,
Right.
that's a whole different deal.
Right, right. Not only that, but then the fatigue that you feel from a swim is going to be different than that of like a regular CrossFit workout. So if you're not used to that, you got to be ready for your next event because you're not just going to have the swim. You're going to have something else later that day, probably as well. Something to think about. So in
I mean,
training, maybe,
well,
do a swim early in the day with something and then like another workout later. I would suggest it.
Oh, that's definitely good advice. Just doing 2 workouts in a day period is kind of like I'm
Yeah.
realizing one of my biggest opportunities for growth.
Mhm.
You know, in fact, it was just today I was wondering, like, how many guys at the Masters finished in the top 10 that don't do 2 workouts a day? I don't know how
Probably
many.
not any. I
Yeah,
would imagine everyone does.
yeah, and
I
I
don't see
don't.
how you would make it that far in competition without doing multiple. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I think that's true as well, and I don't do 2 workouts a day, and I was points away from the podium.
Really?
Yeah, and so,
You
like,
don't do you fit it all in one
Jason and I have
session?
talked about this, and so he's always nudging me. I need to get my butt
Yeah.
somehow 2 times a day, I don't know. Okay, anywho, that's on
Yeah.
me. I'll
Yeah.
figure something out. Um, so tell me about then Boulder, like, how did you get involved with Boulder?
Well, I'll tell you where I came from in CrossFit prior to that, like the programming that I followed
Oh,
prior to that years ago. When I owned my own gym, we followed Misfit Masters for a while. I
mhm,
opened a gym in a little tiny town that had never done CrossFit before. So, Masters programming was plenty for them. Just teaching them how to clean and jerk and snatch was a big deal. So, they'd never been introduced to barbell like that before. So, Misfit Masters still did, strength and a Metcon. And I loved that about it. And also back then, this is like 2016 to 2018 when I followed their programming, I think. Yeah. And then 2018 was when we had a really big group of Misfit Masters that all made it to what they call it back then. It's the online qualifiers. You had to be the top 200 in your master's division. So whatever it was called back in those days. And they had shirts made for us and stuff, kind of like the stuff that you all do, And I had just missed that kind of community because once Gabe was his name, once Gabe stopped programming for us, this young guy came in and started programming. And I was like, bro, you're not our age. Like, I don't think you know how we are feeling right now.
yeah,
So I switched programming and then just never really had that master's community to work out, like to base on like how I felt like I was doing. So when I saw Jason's programming and all of the stuff that he was putting out on Instagram, I thought, okay. So I started looking into it and I was like, I think this is awesome. And then the fact that he has the Circle app as well. So
mm,
you not only have the community aspect of the programming and all the options, but also like a place to go ask questions and talk about
yeah.
things. So that was a big deal for
And
being
what year
like,
was
yeah,
this?
this is it.
Was this, like, kind of right in the early days of Boulder kicking off? Like, I think it was
Yeah, I think
23,
so. Well,
just
well,
after
well yes. Yes, because I got sick back in 2020 and really went downhill with my health
mm,
and ended up not getting diagnosed until I think it was 2022 with an autoimmune disease, and then really fought to get my health back after that. And, I used like functional medicine and whatnot to work on my gut health and get my body feeling better again. Because since like August of 2020, really through the beginning of 2020 through 2022, yeah, I wasn't able to even work out without feeling like I was gonna throw up. And then if I tried to do a high intensity workout, I would feel like almost like I had a hangover the next day. Like my cortisol had just completely tanked. And then I was just kind of living in that state too. My cortisol would barely spike. I did tests for all this stuff. And then by lunchtime, it was at bedtime cortisol.
hmm,
So any kind of like extra usage of it, I guess, just ended up making me feel terrible.
I
So
think
I had really just come off of all of that and I was not very fit compared to what I used to be. So it was humbling
yeah,
because I was scaling everything when I started Boulder. I mean, I was scaling, they didn't have the scale option on there. I was just like,
yeah,
yeah, we're just going to like cut this by this many reps and
yeah,
down the weight to 25s, not 35s. Yeah, it was humbling, but over time, I've built back up again with Boulder. So
right
it's
on. Well,
reassuring.
that and scaling is, like, I mean, in your case, it was a very specific set of circumstances that required you to scale, but no matter the circumstance, scaling is not the easiest thing to do. There is so much ego
Right.
involved, and it's really hard to say, "Well, I used to be this good, so I just assume I'm still, and I'm just gonna do the things that I used to do," even though you're fully aware of all the reasons
Yes.
that you shouldn't. Your ego pulls you into these things. It is such a tricky thing. This has come up on multiple podcasts, and we all,
Yeah.
as competitors, we're all dealing with how do we navigate our own ego? in
Right. Right.
a way that's safe and but also still keeps us feeling accomplished.
Mhm.
It's just it's a delicate balance between those things. How I'm curious, like you said, it was humbling. Like that's yes, it's
Mhm.
but it's more than that. It's humbling is like the kind way to say it. But I
Yeah.
know if I was going through that, I would say it's humbling, but I know I'd be feeling different. Walk me through
I
like,
mean,
how did you down?
I was, but I also had the perspective of didn't know if I would ever be able to work out like that again.
Mhm.
So I just tried to have gratitude and be thankful
Yeah,
that I was even able to do what I was doing without feeling sick.
that's
So
a great way to put
I
it.
think that was really kind of where I was at mentally and emotionally together.
Yeah, that I love that. Just, I mean, that philosophy, where doesn't
Hmm.
that work? Just
Yeah.
find a way to be grateful for what you've
Right.
got. And boy, that'll put some perspective on life and that'll carry you through
Sure.
some pretty tough circumstances, regardless of what they are.
Just remembering and telling myself, I prayed to be able to do this again, and now I can. It's
That's
okay. I have to go lighter and I can't do as many reps. It's all right. I may get back there, I may not, but at least I'm here and I don't feel like I'm dying.
oh, I love that. Yeah, when you that's so funny. And but also at the same time, it's so natural to like, be praying about the things and then they're granted. And then you're like,
Right.
"What? I actually want a
Yeah.
little different." I actually, instead of staying grateful for what you've got, and so that's cool.
Right.
I'm glad to hear that you're able to stay humbled and find some gratefulness in that process.
Hmm.
Cool. So you've been with Boulder for a while then, which I love.
Yeah.
Talk me through then MFC. You're wearing a 2024 MFC shirt. You
Yes.
competed there. Sounds
Yeah.
like you're going back to MFC again this year with a huge crew of athletes from Boulder that are competing, which is
Yep.
so cool. Yeah, talk me through because I've never done MFC.
Okay.
Talk me through your kind of experiences with it and your excitement to go back.
I am excited. I feel like I'm better prepared this year. Last year was my first competition back. So, kind of like on the same lines of the gratitude I was talking about a minute ago, I was just happy to be there. I was just so pleased to be back out on the competition floor again and be around people
Mm,
in that setting and just have fun. Honestly, I wasn't no stress, and I'm not stressing myself either about this time, but I feel like I'm better prepared. I've been able to put in two a days here and there and increase my volume on my programming this past year. I switched my job from a facility that was extremely demanding of my time to something where I can completely have a flexible schedule. So if I want to go in at 9, I can, and I can move patients around how I need to in order to be able to work out, maybe have a session 6 to 8, go into work 9 to 3 or 4, get off and have another session afterwards.
mm.
So
Well,
that
that's
has really helped
fantastic.
me. So preparation wise, I feel better about everything. Even though I've had an injury, I still feel better about where I'm at now than where I was last year.
That is a huge confidence boost going into a big competition, just to be able to say, "Hey, I feel prepared." And
Right.
I mean, going in with confidence is half the battle because man, and I'm sure you've seen this as well, athletes that have incredible capacity, incredible athleticism, all the skills,
Mhm.
but their confidence is the thing that holds them
Right.
back. And then they step on the floor and they just can't put it together because of nerves or whatever. But
Mhm.
it's more of a mental blocker than it is a physical blocker. And then the flip side is also true for some athletes where you're like, well, capacity wise, yeah, they're pretty solid, but boy, they
Yeah.
just have this like killer mentality and they've got
Yes.
this ability to just grit and grind and
Yes.
they exceed where you think they might have finished. And then
Hmm.
naturally you have everybody in between. So all to say, having a
Hmm.
confidence going in, yeah, that's a pretty like major superpower
For
going
sure.
into a big competition. That's cool.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, that is cool. You were talking before we hit record.
Hmm.
You had mentioned you got two kids, teenage boys.
Yes.
They're big into
Yes.
sports. You were just out in
Yeah.
the back spotting your
Yeah.
youngest, I think you said, on a back squat.
He was back squatting 200 for sets of 8,
Game on.
all 135 pounds of himself, 5'8".
Putting up some weight.
Yeah, he's doing really well. I'm glad. Like, I don't have to I don't tell him to do it. Like, he just I mean, every other day or every day, it's leg day is what he yelled at me when he walked in the door from school.
That's
And yesterday he walked in the way, he's like, it's chest day, mom. Yeah. I live with three men, all lax bros. So this is my world.
what is lax, bro? I don't know what that means.
Lacrosse, lax, LAX is the
Okay.
actual, what they, the abbreviation for it or the shortening version of it. Mm.
Okay, la crosse. All right, now it's all coming together for me.
Now you got it.
Thank you. Thank you. I struggled all the way through that. So, like, fitness is clearly a thing in your household. How did that
For sure.
become a thing? Is it you
Okay.
you didn't you're not asking them to do it, you're not pushing on it. So, like, just how did
Yeah.
that evolve to become a just a
A
regular
family
family deal?
family affair. My husband was a big athlete in high school, and he played basketball. He ran track, tennis, cross country. Basketball was his main thing, but he didn't play in college because he went to a really super nerdy engineering school, and it was just too time consuming.
Mm,
So he played lacrosse, which was just a club team, and fell in love with it.
mm,
So both of us came from backgrounds where we were athletes, and our kids never found anything when they were younger that they really, really liked. We did start them in gymnastics, I will say. I want to say when they were 8 or 9. So Brendan, my youngest, who's now 16, he could, if I go spot him in the backyard, he can still go do like a standing back tuck. Yeah, we had him do gymnastics. If you listen to some of the older Greg Glassman podcasts, he really talks about put your kid in gymnastics to get the base of like, physical fitness,
mhm.
core strength, stability, balance, all that. And then pull them out before it gets dangerous, is what he said in one of his podcasts, I believe. I used to
I
listen to his stuff when I would clean my gym over the speakers. And so we did that. And I felt like that, plus the fact that we did own a gym for a few years, they grew up going into the gym and lifting. So they
mhm.
were back squatting and handstand push ups and walking on their hands and, kipping pull ups, all of that. In fact, Brendan learned how to do a bar muscle up back in 2020 when he was, yeah, that was 5 years ago. So he was a youngin' back then.
Yeah, 11,
Yeah.
12, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Wow,
I
that's
mean,
impressive.
I feel like that built the foundation for them as athletes, and then, we sold the gym and wanted to move to get into a different, like, 45 minutes away. We were kinda in the middle of nowhere where we were. So the school systems here where we live now, it's a little bit bigger. It's a bigger city for sure. We have Western Kentucky University here, so that helps. And then the school systems here are really good. So we got them into the school system that we wanted, and they just have a lot more opportunities for classes and sports, and they have lacrosse. And that was my husband wanted them to try it. Not only did they try it in middle school, but they fell in love with it, and now they want to play in college. So,
Yeah, that's really cool. I love talking about family dynamics and, like,
mhm,
establishing just good habits in a family. It doesn't matter if it's fitness related, but naturally, I it's great to hear when fitness and health is part of a
mm,
family experience.
right.
And I'm curious, you say you didn't ask them to go start lifting now, but when they first got into sports, I'm
Mhm.
curious, was that like a, "Hey, we're gonna put them in and try," and whether there was resistance to that or not, like, how did that go?
We had them try like, I remember itty bitty ball for basketball. Hayden would be on the side of the court where you were supposed to be, and Brendan, the youngest, would be, like, rolling around on the floor with a kid from the opposite team, like, who he made friends with out on the
Right,
court.
right,
And then my husband was the coach for their other basketball teams in elementary school, and he would get so frustrated because he's like, "They just don't care. They don't have any, like, they don't go after people. They're not aggressive enough." And I'm like, "Honey, it just maybe this isn't their sport, you know?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I know you want it to be."
yeah,
And then we tried soccer. So we just kind of went through some other ones. They liked soccer, but it wasn't like it didn't light a fire in them like once they tried lacrosse. They were like, "This is it."
that's
Yeah, so
cool,
we definitely tried lots of options, never had any, like, pushback from them. They were really go with the flow with everything.
that's
Yeah, we
cool.
just never kept pushing them to stay in something if it really didn't seem like it was what they wanted.
That I love that approach. We have taken a very similar approach with our
Yeah,
kiddos, just like, "Hey, you're gonna try some stuff. We are not gonna demand anything of you, but we are gonna really ask you to try." and at
Mhm.
least experiment. If you don't like it, okay, it's a one and done season. Once you start a thing,
Mhm.
you're gonna finish a thing. But then if you don't
Yes.
wanna do it again, that's cool. We'll figure out something else. And then you
Right.
find, hey, something really did light a fire, and they found
Mhm.
their thing and their people and the kind of the culture that they wanna be a part of. And we have a very athletic family as well. Our daughter plays soccer. That's definitely the thing she found after trying a
Mhm.
number of things. Our
Okay.
football is his primary sport, which I love because I'm a former football player. Didn't push that on him, but it became naturally his thing.
Yeah.
And what I really believe to be true, because I know it happened for me. I'm seeing it happen for my kids. I've seen this happen,
Mhm.
many, many kids. And I think you can probably relate to this, which is like when you establish that connection in a sport, we'll just use that example at a young
Mhm.
age, they start to kind of see themselves as that, among other things. But yes, I'm a student. Yes, I'm a brother and a sister, and I'm all the things, but I'm also this athlete in this sport. And
Mhm.
they start to attach some of their
Mhm.
identity to that. And that can be really healthy. It can go sideways.
Yes.
It could become unhealthy, but navigating it as parents and trying to make sure that they're putting the right priorities in place and committing the right
Mhm.
level of energy to it. And they're not doing things that are unhealthy in order to
Right.
participate.
Like, it's Friday night, and both my kids are at the house right now. They're 16 and 17.
I mean,
In fact, at 7 p.m., they'll probably put on the football game and watch our school play Hopkinsville, I think is who they're playing tonight.
when
If
they
it were
could
in
be,
town, we'd be going together.
and like what's
Yeah.
maybe I don't know if it's the majority, but I know what I was doing when I was 16 or 17 years old on a
Yeah.
Friday night. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I was under the lights, I was playing, but then after that game, I knew what I was doing.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. I don't think I was the angel either at their
Right.
age. So I'm very pleased with where they're at as athletes and kids for sure. And I think like what you're saying with being an athlete when you're young is kind of why those of us who found CrossFit, it's allowed us to have that athlete, maintain that athlete in us. And
Yes.
so it's really important for a lot of us for a lot of reasons. Like not only your health physically, but mentally.
Spot on. That's so true. That has actually been a really common theme that has come up in a lot of these podcasts with folks that I've talked to.
Yeah.
Naturally, we're all CrossFitters, kind of that's a collective theme across all of us. But the not everyone used to be athletes when they were younger, but everybody had a competitive itch. Some were athletes, some weren't. But there was a
Mhm.
competitive nature that they had established somewhere along the way. And CrossFit is the thing that helped them scratch that itch and maintain their
Right.
athlete, to use your words, which I like. Yeah, like I said, I try to evaluate what would I be doing if it wasn't CrossFit? I'd be doing something, whether that's playing in a softball league or I don't know. I'd find something to do. Bowling,
Yes. Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
I'm grateful it's CrossFit. I'm
Yeah.
grateful.
It's better than just going to a Globo gym and, working out and going home. It's way more fun.
100%. Where
You
is your
never
gym?
get a community with
What's your
that.
home
You
gym?
what? My home gym
Yeah.
right now is Vet City CrossFit in Bowling Green. So I used to coach there years ago.
Mm.
I have worked here really for 15 years now. Just switched facilities. I worked here even when we lived 45 minutes away. So
And
I
what do you
was
do? You've
driving.
mentioned this before, but what do you do?
Occupational therapy.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah. So I switched from working in a subacute setting. It was a rehab hospital where we got patients directly out of the bigger hospital. I worked with a lot of like ortho stroke patients, car accidents, TBIs, you name it. Guillain-Barré, like you think of the weirdest thing that you've heard of diagnoses wise, and we've probably had it at the facility I worked at for 14 years. That was a really taxing job, though, on my body because most of the patients there could not get up and down on their own. I had stroke patients that were hooked up to, all different kinds of tubes and whatnot, and just taking everything down to the gym with you and then getting them on the edge of the mat. And it
Yeah.
feels like you're wrestling for an hour with them while you're trying to work with them on their affected side. So, I mean, it was very rewarding working in that setting, but the older you get, it gets pretty tough. So I'm happy to have switched. And now I work in assisted living facilities,
Okay.
particularly memory care. So cute little grandmas and grandpas that don't remember very much, but I get to go hang out with them every day.
Man, That a lot of things come to mind in what you just shared. One, my mom managed a couple of assisted living centers. One was an Alzheimer's specific center.
Yeah.
So I spent a fair amount of time there and worked there in
Okay.
the summers. And yeah, you talk about just some incredible old little ladies that are just the
Oof.
cutest. And but man, I would get invited into their rooms. They'd be talking to me about I couldn't tell you what. Like
Yes.
what are we talking about? They just
100%.
they connecting the dots and
Yeah, have you seen my mom and dad? No, I haven't. Maybe they'll be here later. Like,
yeah.
you just kinda roll with whatever story or whatever wavelength they're on and, try to keep them calm, and yeah.
That's exactly what I recall.
My job is to keep them functional.
Yeah. So there's like a psychological tax on in a role like that as well. Like the physical tax that you're talking about in the role previously, I
Yeah,
mean, that's clear. You're moving people around. That's tough. But the emotional weight that you carry, because you're building connections with these folks,
for
and they're
sure.
nearing end of life, and so that's not an easy job. How do you navigate it?
It's been since March, so I haven't had to lose any.
Mm,
None have passed away, but it is, at night sometimes or in the afternoons when I'm leaving. Like the other day, I have one that she just kind of like she'll attach herself to me that I see 3 times a week, and then these people are majority completely functional, like, walking around,
mhm,
they can get up and down on their own. A lot of them just have some motor planning problems and some sequencing stuff, like, you put the toothpaste on the toothbrush, and then you bring it to your mouth. You don't brush your hair with it, things like that, like, you just really basic activities of daily living that all of us take for granted being able to just do on our own. But a lot of them, like this one, she'll get attached to me and hold on to me. And then if I have to go, she's like, "You can't leave me," she told me just a few days ago. She said, "I don't know anybody here. Same as so and so. I promise you, I'll be back in the morning and I'll see
mhm,
you then. The girls around here know you. This is where you stay." And then I tell her the story of what her daughter tells her, why she's staying there, just to try to calm her anxiety or whatnot. And then I try to leave it at work. It's easy for me, I guess, because I have distractions here, but it is sad. It makes me feel bad. It like almost makes me want to cry sometimes when I leave and they act like that. Like, because they don't know you, but
mhm.
they know that you're familiar for some reason,
And they know that
especially
you have their
once you've
best
worked with
interest.
them. Do what?
And they know you have their best interests in mind, and you're there to
Yes.
care.
Yes. Yeah. So they like having you around.
Yeah, yeah, you're like their comfort blanket, essentially.
Right. Absolutely.
It's funny the way this is kinda coming full circle, but it's so obvious in where you had mentioned, when you had gotten sick and what got you through was just finding gratefulness.
Mhm.
And, man, in the line of work that you do, you find gratefulness really quick every day
Yeah.
for your own health and the things that you're capable of and being as physically fit and as mentally fit
Oh,
as
yes.
you are.
Absolutely. From both aspects, from the mental, memory care side to where I was for 14 years, seeing people in the worst circumstances of their life, basically.
Mhm.
And way worse off than I was when I was sick.
Yeah.
And then, maybe even at the end of their life, like going in and out of the hospital, we called them frequent flyers. We had several that would just come and go throughout the year. And we knew by name, and they remembered all of us too at that facility that I worked at. So I do keep a gratitude journal as well, I will say, like on top of that. I
Mhm.
feel like that helps as well.
That's a great tip. How often do you contribute to the gratitude journal?
I try to every morning.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. I started that when I was sick because I was like, whew, I got to find something. Everything's going to pot right now. I don't know what's happening with my body. So I've got to find something to hold on to. Yeah.
That's a
Just
great
tried to focus on the good in my life.
that's so good. I mean, hot takeaway from this conversation for anybody
Yeah.
that's listening is like, if you could do one little thing to up level your life today, I think it
Right.
would be start a gratitude journal. Like, that's so real.
Yes. Absolutely. Yep. For sure.
That's really
Yeah.
cool.
And honestly, seeing people in that, like I did for so many years, like that, in that hospital that I worked at, was really what kind of pushed me to be like, I need to try to help you. I opened a gym because I was inspired to catch people before they end up in those circumstances, right?
Mm.
Like, what's the quote? At some point, you can't just stop pulling people out of the river. You've got to go downstream and figure out why they're falling in.
Yeah. That's a good
Like,
analogy.
we got to quit. How do we stop this? How do we help people not end up in these circumstances? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not that I am super in tune with all of Greg Glassman's philosophy, but much of it revolved around preventative care as well and getting people healthy
Absolutely.
and fit long before, they're diagnosed with something down the line that needs
Mhm.
to then be addressed and much
Yep.
higher stakes.
Absolutely. Yep.
Well, kudos to you. That's really commendable work. And it's heroic, honestly, because it's not easy. And it takes a really special, I think, set of intersecting characteristics of a person to be able to go and do that and not just do the job, but like do it well and come back home and still live a healthy life
Mm.
and do all the things that come with being a wife and a mother and a CrossFit athlete and, just a sane human because that's heavy work and that's easy to carry with you and that can impact how you operate from day to day.
Yeah, I think it's easier now at the memory care, honestly. It was harder at the other facility. Like, I had patients that were so sick, I would come home and lay in bed and wonder how they were after I left, like, concerned. Yeah, like, end of life, cancer, really, really sad circumstances. So, I feel like this is a lot more, even though it's sad because they can't remember things, they're still moving around and and they have happy moments, and we make sure they do. And we just try to focus on, um, not just entertaining them, but making sure that they have quality of life where they're at.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I was just listening to the Huberman Lab. I don't know if that rings a bell.
That sounds
He's a
familiar.
Stanford professor, really intelligent guy. He's got a bunch of interesting content, a great
Yeah,
podcast. Occasionally I listen to him, but I was just listening to him the other day and he was talking about something very related to what we're talking about, which is, I'm going to butcher this, by the way, so nobody quote me.
that's okay.
But it was basically those that maintain their physical health, at least keep their functional health intact, the
Mhm,
elderly, but might
mhm,
be, kind of losing their mental wits a bit, at
mhm.
least prolong their life because the physical ability to get up and move around is so advantageous to lifespan versus
Yes.
those that aren't sharp mentally but have physically declined.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna
Your
go downhill.
lifespan gets cut much shorter because those that can't physically do the things that they want to do, they kind of lose purpose, you know?
Mhm,
And I thought that was interesting. And, as I've seen some of my own family members pass, I can relate to like
mhm.
that kind of feels like how it worked out, for some of the people that I know. And I'm
Right.
curious if that feels accurate to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of people just weren't ever, I mean, we live in the country. So a lot of these people that we would have come into the hospital were very poor, that just, you wondered if they ever were an athlete. A lot of them weren't and just never lived and never understood what a healthy life meant. They
Yeah.
didn't have the opportunity to learn or understand that, most likely. So as they aged, they didn't have the muscle mass and the structure, and then when you add in just sedentary lifestyle of just sitting around and watching television, and then you retire and you're not working anymore,
Mhm.
then you're just going to completely go downhill.
That's right.
And that's what pretty much we saw happen with most of the patients, and end up with having strokes or, COPD because they smoked and sat around, and yeah,
Yeah.
slowly but surely they just lose their ability to function.
And once again, this is coming full circle to a conversation we had a bit ago, which is like the importance of even creating like a fraction of identity in
Mhm,
athletics at a young age, whether you carry that with you, you know, for years and years and years later is one
mhm.
thing, great if you do, but to have that moment of identity that
Right.
you can reflect back on at some age is still valuable because you go, hey, I used to be that person. Maybe I could become that person again.
Right.
Some
Right.
flavor of that person again. It's much easier to convince yourself that it's possible
When you've been there before.
when you've been there before. Yeah, but to your point, like, which is totally true, and I used to work in the health and fitness space as well and coach through,
Mhm,
all sorts of life-threatening scenarios.
mhm.
The vast majority of those folks had never exercised in their lives. had never were definitely never an athlete. They'd never sweat intentionally before, and so then to be like, "Hey, you're 65 years old now, 70 years old, you're very obese, you have a long history of terrible habits. Either you're gonna overhaul your lifestyle of habits or you don't have many years left here."
Right.
That's a harsh truth, and then some, like, "Giddy up, let's go, I'm willing to change because my life is important enough to
Right.
motivate me." And then
I saw a lot of that when we owned our gym, like the realization. I would do nutrition classes at our gym, and it was we had some funny members. I remember one girl, I could say her name, I won't, but she wouldn't care if I did. She's so Southern and country. I was talking about the need to try to eat real whole foods, basically. And she was like, wait, so McDonald's isn't good? Like, nah, like she
like,
was
that's not part of the
legit
food pyramid.
sincere. She was 100% sincere. Like fast food, like there's nothing at those places that's good, really. And I'm like, I wouldn't eat it on a regular basis. If you have to in a pinch, it's fine. She was like, this is devastating. Like, well, it's just part. I have a son walking by flexing on me.
Oh, you're mentioning it, he's gotta serve a
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, I had that, and then I had members that one in particular that was an officer that also had been in the military and drank entirely too much, probably to deal with inner demons, and I nutrition coached him and got him cutting back on alcohol every day. He still drank every day, but it was like he cut half out of what he was. And he was coming to our 5 a.m. class. So I was like, I'll take it.
That's right. Baby step.
Baby steps.
Because what,
Yeah.
kind of can become the next step is like, "Well, I kinda like this, and now actually I wanna do a little bit better at this, so then what are the things I need to
Yes.
do to become a little bit better?" Well, yeah, okay, maybe
Yeah.
I'll cut another drink out, and
That's right.
that's where that journey can begin for many, so
Yeah.
that's cool.
So I think CrossFit definitely helps people in the community aspect with that as well. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, I mean, now you and I are on a very different end of the spectrum. But I know, for example, I got a buddy that's going to come over to my house tomorrow. He's one of the fittest in the world, and we're going to train together. And that impacts the decisions I'll make tonight, you know, because
Absolutely.
he's
Yeah.
going to push me, and I don't want to get my butt whooped. So
Or feel terrible doing it.
that's right. So, okay, I'm not gonna have a drink where I might have had a drink on a Friday night before. I'm not gonna eat the cookies that I might have eaten. I make little decisions because these are the things that keep me motivated, and while it's not the same for everybody, finding those motivators is, half the
Mhm.
battle.
Yeah, absolutely. It keeps me in line. That's for sure. Yeah. Using exercise and fitness as a stress reliever instead of other things. Yeah. Instead of a glass of wine or three.
Right. The end of a long week on a Friday, yeah, is it
Yeah.
appealing? You bet.
Yeah.
Sounds nice, and, the night's still young, but yeah, I'm pretty motivated to get up and have a decent workout in the morning, so
Yeah. I'm actually probably gonna go to the gym after we get
is that
done.
right?
Yeah, I got off work, came home, took care of some things, and went grocery shopping so I could have some because we were out of food. And these kids, it's like anarchy if I don't have some food in the
Oh,
house.
man.
Teenage boys that are trying to, build some muscle mass. So they would have been, Mom, what are we eating? So I went to the store, got food, and cooked something before we could do the podcast. And then I'm like, you know what? It's only 7. It's fine. I don't have to get up early tomorrow. Let's go work out.
Well, that's pretty impressive. I hope you have a good one.
Might as well.
Dana, this has been really cool. It's been, yeah, really good to chat, and I'm glad we did this, and this was on short notice, by the way, so
Yeah.
thank you for making
Yeah.
the time, and, yeah, it's a pleasure to get to know you.
Yeah. Nice to meet you too. It's
I'm
been
rooting
nice
for you
getting
at
to know you.
MFC.
You're gonna be there?
No, I won't be there,
Okay.
but I'll be
Okay.
rooting for you and our whole
Well,
crew
thank
of
you.
killer athletes that'll be there. You guys are gonna get hooked up with some goods, and
Yeah.
we keep
Is Jason going again?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Man, he's a heck of a photographer.
He is, yeah.
He does really well with that.
He and his wife both were wedding photographers, I think.
Okay.
I heard him say that multiple times.
I thought I read that in one of his posts before.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's got a lot of side hobbies. This guy's a hustler, man. He does a little bit of everything. It's great.
That's awesome. Well, I look forward to it. I'm excited. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know,
I
well,
wish I could have done the Legends qualifier, but I was injured. So Yeah.
Maybe next year. I'll let you know how it goes. Hopefully
Okay.
all goes well. This will be my first go at it.
I'm sure you'll do well.
I hope we'll.
You not even doing two a days, and you made it to second. Well, did you get second at the games?
No, I took fourth.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew you were teetering up there. I was watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations, by the way. That's an
Yeah. Thanks.
amazing accomplishment. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
How long have you been doing CrossFit? I didn't ask you that.
Man, I should totally know this answer. I can't recall exactly the year I started. I think I keep saying 2011.
Okay.
I'm not
So,
actually sure if that's accurate, but that's
okay.
roughly when I started. And yeah, it was terrible. I have videos of myself doing CrossFit back then, and it's hard to watch. I was very
Same.
skinny and couldn't double under. I couldn't snatch. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do bar muscle ups. I couldn't do ring
Yeah.
muscle ups. I mean, but I was really competitive. And so
Mhm.
I was sick of getting my butt kicked by everybody in the building.
Uh-huh.
I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna start figuring this stuff out. Yeah,
And
thankfully.
here we are.
And here we are. Yeah, it worked out all right.
Now you're a games athlete.
I know it's a little crazy to even say that out loud, to be honest. Well, Dana,
Well,
happy Friday. Go get yourself a good workout and stay in
thanks.
touch.
All right, will do.
Team, thanks for checking out the Boulder Athlete Podcast. We are so grateful that you did. Wherever you're watching or listening, please like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you more stories from this great community.